On this episode of Pimp My Setup, we're going to be talking about your setups you submitted for tips, tricks, feedback, and much more. So if you're interested in that, then sit back, relax, and interact because the show starts
soon. No. Shoot. Now.
It's time for the original setup show dedicated to providing you with tips, tricks, and feedback to pimp out your setup. Hosted by Philie with new special guests every week. Coming at you live in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pimp My Setup, episode number 10, recorded live on December 18th, 2014. My name's Philie. You can check me out on Twitter at Philie.
And I'm Paul, joining Matt today. You can check me out on Twitter at Paul Hardware, or you can check out my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Paul's Hardware.
There you go. So pretty straightforward. You weren't able to get that S, though, on Twitter, huh?
No, there was some sneaky Paul's, like an actual hardware store in Arizona that was like way more social media savvy than I am apparently. No, they're nice people though. I actually follow them, so I get updates every now and then about hardware sales in Arizona.
There you go. That's information you definitely need to know.
Yeah. I was taking up on that.
Before we get started, two things. One, for those of you that don't know what Pimp My Setup is, it's basically a show where users submit their setups to get tips, tricks, feedback, and much more from myself and whoever my special guest may be, like Paul. And it's very easy to submit your setup. All the information is down in the description. But with that aside, Paul wanted me to show a picture of something. You want to kind of explain what this is?
Well, so when Matt asked me to come on the show today, and I was like, sure, I'll join. And I had watched a couple episodes before, so I kind of got the gist of it. But I was like, what I realized this morning was I can't really come on this show without being honest with you guys and letting you know that I'm just a terrible hypocrite. So I sat Matt over a picture of my setup right now, just to point out that while we're going through and critiquing everyone on what their setup looks like and how clean it is and organized, mine is terrible, especially right now. It's cluttered and it's disorganized. It's very functional. I can get a lot done there, but I just thought it would be best to be upfront with you guys and let you know that my setup is nowhere near on par with the way. Yeah, there's just crap all over my desk. There's some SSDs and papers and I don't know.
But see, it's good that you did that. It's good that you were honest, because some people come on and they have a nice setup, but they let it get a little out of hand and then they just act like it's perfect. And at least you came up front and you're like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. But are we all?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just how often do you have to crap? I need to just clean all this stuff up.
Yeah,
I tend to let it get so bad that I have to spend half a day on it to actually get it back to normal. Yeah. But I mean, I also need I need to put some stuff on the walls and do cable management and all that kind of stuff in there. But I've been working more out on the garage because I do more filming out there. So that ends up on camera a lot more often.
Yeah. So this is sort of your secret hangout.
That's where I actually edit videos and play video games. So that's my main system there that I built a few months back, which is probably going to get replaced again soon. But yeah, it's very functional. It's very powerful. It's just a cluttered mess.
Yeah, so at least you get a 10 on usability.
Sure, yeah.
That's what matters.
My main goal.
All right, so moving into the setups, the first setup is submitted by Ben, and he basically says this, which this is crazy. This will probably blow everyone's mind. He's only 11 years old.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
11 years old, which is crazy because looking at the setups we get nowadays, you don't know how old the person is because they could have some kick-ass equipment.
It's always hard to tell. I would never have guessed that this was an 11-year-old setup.
Yeah. So, I mean, taking a look at it, it's really interesting. And that's what I like about it, especially knowing that it's an 11-year-old. It's like, wow. I mean, I don't even know what to say because I keep focusing on the bouncy ball.
The bouncy ball is nice. So that is actually, I would give, if you had a bouncy ball section in the scoring, I would give definite extra credit for that, or something with regards to ergonomics or something. Jenny at Newegg actually has one of those exercise balls that she sits at her desk on at work, and it's actually way better for you than just sitting stationary in your standard type of chair.
Yeah.
Because you constantly have to move and flex your muscles and everything to stay balanced. So it's actually a way healthier way of just sitting, especially if you're at your desk for a while. So I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's different.
Do you know Leo Laporte?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, he's like one of those guys that he owns Twit and he does like all the live streaming or whatever. He was actually sitting on one of those because he was trying to get like healthy, and it popped on air, and he just done on the floor. If you guys ever look that up on YouTube, it's hilarious. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way, because I would definitely rather sit on the bouncy bowl than his chairs. Those look a little painful, but
the chairs, I would need to add a cushion or something like that.
Yeah,
for long-term use.
Exactly. Now looking at like his actual desktop, it's really nice. It's pretty straightforward. Some random things here and there that he could put in a drawer, but overall, I mean, he's got some kick-ass equipment on his desk for 11. I mean,
it's very clean. I like the extra monitor along with the laptop. That's a nice bonus.
Yeah, and one thing, what are your thoughts on the wall, that sort of like leaf pattern thing?
The wall was something that initially I didn't really understand. I mean, I guess it's just something to break it up from just being a big white wall, but it kind of looks like a wallpapering job that they ran out of money or funding or something for the project, because it only goes halfway across, and it doesn't extend down to the bottom either. It's only right behind the desk. So I mean, it's something to look at, I guess, other than just blankness.
True.
So I suppose it's better than just a blank wall, maybe, depending on who you are and whether or not you like that pattern of leaves.
Yeah, I personally, it's a little too much for me.
Not for you?
Yeah, but I think it would be good if he was to. I know it's hard because he's 11. He can't say like mom and dad, start ripping it off the wall. It would be great if he had like this setup would look really good with posters along the top of the desk and nice framed posters. It would look really, really good. But, you know, I guess it comes down to personal preference, honestly.
That's true. And I have to wonder in something like this if that was something that was pre-existing in the room, or if that was added on.
Yeah, someone is saying that it might be a curtain, which, yes, but it's a very flat curtain.
That's true. Oh, yeah. Actually, if you look at the left edge of it, there's a little bit of light possibly coming from behind it. So maybe there's a window back there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just one of those ones that slides straight up.
If that's the case, I would like maybe look to just getting a different curtain. Something not so like crazy. Maybe just like maybe red or blue. Something to go with other things in the room.
Yeah, just maybe a simpler pattern that's... Yeah,
and
honestly, less distracting.
Looking at the wires, the way the desk is, it works perfect for hiding everything. Now, that bouncy bowl might be covering, you know, a couple of wires on the floor, but for the most part, it looks like he actually did a pretty good job, except for the top of the desk. I would definitely look to, you know, grabbing the monitor cables and things like that. Just little things. But for an 11-year-old, I mean, really, really nice.
Yeah, very nice. I was just going to point out, like, as far as accessories go, for me, if I wanted to have a setup and I have a laptop and I take the laptop mobile, but then I also have a desk where I want to drop the laptop in and kind of integrate it, I would want a separate keyboard for the laptop, just to kind of fill out the range of accessories there. It doesn't look like he has a mouse either, so that would be my... I mean, it's possible there's a drawer under there that could be a keyboard drawer with that sort of stuff in there.
Yeah.
But that's, for me, going from a laptop to a desktop, that's like... more screens, and then having a full-size keyboard and a full-size mouse is like night and day difference for doing anything, whether it's gaming or productivity or that sort of thing. So that would be my suggestion here. If it's not already something that's there but we can't see, would be a couple peripherals to add on there.
Yeah, and like a nice laptop stand to sort of like elevate that on top of getting the accessories, like, you know, the keyboard and all that. That would look great, because I can imagine how hard that would be utilizing the trackpad for your other monitor when you're looking at it. That must be like confusing, like just painful.
Hellish.
But yeah, so I think overall it's a pretty awesome setup for an 11-year-old. It's really cool, and we'll talk more about the actual score after. But this is the part that's crazy, because this next setup has got a lot going on, and it's actually submitted by Andrew, and man, it's there's a lot going on. I'm gonna hand the mic over to you on this one. What do you think?
Well, my first impression here was definitely nice attention to detail in going in and editing the photo in order to label certain things on this with this configuration. because I think it adds a lot, especially when we're judging this setup, to know certain things like out of sight, out of mind. While he's pointing out certainly that these things on the lower right are his knife sharpening utensils, and he uses them often. So having a sharpened knife, I think, is important. Now, the thing that jumped out to me here immediately, and this just goes to the PC building side of me, because clearly, since he's got a test bench, quote unquote, down there, he does some work with systems, and this is definitely a custom built system here. The CPU cooler on here, which looks to be a Hyper 212, seems to be oriented in a vertically. I would turn. I mean, I can't tell what he's got as far as fans on the case at the top or on the back, but I would tend to just rotate that 90 degrees to push air this way out the back of the case rather than up, because right now it's pulling air straight from the video card, whereas the natural airflow in the case is going to be coming from the front and pushing out towards the back. Sorry if I'm diving too much into just the PC part of this, but that was one of the first things that popped out to me. I'm sure it's totally fine just now. But this was a new mistake that I made like years ago. Was I had a PC that was like, the CPU is already always overheating, and then I realized like later I was like, oh, I installed it like totally 90 degrees.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, if it's got a top exhaust on it, it's probably just fine. I just think it would be a little bit better to rotate that.
Yeah. See, that stuff's kind of foreign to me, so I'll just nod my head
Okay.
and pretend like it's all good. Yeah, I like that. Good advice.
Nice.
But taking a look at, more so like, you know what it is about this setup? It makes it look dirty because of like, maybe the clashing of the desk and the wall, and like, the storage bins, they're awesome. I have one very similar. It just sucks when you could see through it and it sort of like looks messy, which obviously when you put something in there, you're not going to make it super neat. You throw it in there for a reason.
Yeah.
I always like recommend, this is something I'm looking to do soon, is just like maybe like a piece of even like cardboard paper or something in to, slide in there to kind of cover it up.
Okay.
Which is always good, but I feel like there's a lot going on here that could definitely be placed elsewhere, but you do seem to be pretty limited with space, which can always be an issue. But I think this desk, although it may clash with your wall, I think it works perfect because you obviously utilize all the different little spaces, which is good.
Yeah.
I wish you could like paint it or something, which that's a lot of work. I don't know if you're really down for that, but maybe a new desk over time. But I think it works for now, and I like you have your headphones hung up. But Paul, what are your thoughts on the computer being on top of the desk? You think that's a good placement for it? Because I know you were telling me before the show you like when it's on the desk.
Yes, I do. So this is now watching a couple of match shows prior to now. I was like, there might be a few things here that we differ in opinion on, because I mean, honestly, going back to when I first started in on computers and just technology in general, I used to read, I still read Maximum PC like religiously, and a lot of their philosophy is like, we don't care what anything looks like. It just needs to perform. We're function over form. And I went with that sort of mindset for a really long time. It wasn't really until I started doing video where I was like, okay, maybe it should look pretty too. Yeah. So like I was always like, I don't care what it looks like. It just, needs to perform. So this is for me one of the reasons why I always recommend putting your computer actually up on top of the desk, or at least raised up off of the floor by a good like couple feet. Because functionally, with it up there versus down on the floor, not only are you going to not risk possible static electricity or something like that, but it's just not going to accumulate dust. It's not going to fill up with crap nearly as often. If you have a PC on the floor, you need to clean it like every month or two, especially if you have pets or something like that.
Yeah.
Up on top, you can get away with it a lot longer. And especially if you build a custom rig like this one with the side panel window, and you've invested some time in it and customized it, like put it up on the desk. Give it a little showcase for folks who come over, so you can actually look inside and see it. That's not always practical, especially this desk is a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So I can see he's got one monitor. If he wanted to add a second monitor, for example, he might have a little bit of a harder time positioning everything and not making it look cluttered. So that's the trade-off. But we'll probably come back to this because I think we have a couple setups later in the show where people do have their computer on the floor, and I'll rant about that.
Yeah, we'll see why you get so angry. But yeah, overall for Andrew's setup, I mean, I think he's making use of what he has, and that's a big deal. So kudos to you for that. I definitely want to see it evolve. Definitely play a little more outside, out of mind. That doesn't mean make it so there's absolutely nothing on the desk, but only keep what you really, really need on a daily basis. That's the goal. So overall, awesome setup. But let's move on to Arthur. Wow, I don't know why I said that weird. But this setup, I contemplated even letting it in the show because of the shot. It's a little bit of a weird shot, but it also showcases really everything that he has going on. And that's why I think I gave him a decent score for theme, because that's like personality. That's what he really shows, and I think that's key. But what are your thoughts on this PC? Do you think that's a weird placement, or do you still think it works?
Like I'm on the fence about that, because it goes along with my philosophy of get your computer up off the floor and everything. When it comes to usability on this one, I actually didn't give Arthur a very high score. Actually, I gave him a 2 on this one. So, but I have reason for that, and that's simply because he's got 3 monitors. Great. He's got a custom system. He's got a backlit keyboard. I mean, he's got some good hardware going on there. But it looks like that desk is so tiny. Like when you're sitting at those 3 monitors, he's got to be like on top of them.
Oh yeah.
Like looks like he's got maybe 10 or 12 inches of space on the keyboard. So you have to like turn your head left and right to look at the monitors. It just seems a little bit cramped right there. I feel like maybe you can. It looks like an L-shaped desk. So maybe you could angle him around the corner and push him back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because being right up against the monitors, it's not good for your eyesight, to be honest, and it's not very ergonomic either. But I wanted to come back to the theme on this one. So when you're judging a theme for a setup, is it that everything just seems to fit together, or is it like, so for instance here, he's got some Assassin's Creed stuff going on. He's got some swords, which are really sweet, mounted on the wall. But then he's also got like a Godfather poster, and it looks like The Hobbit over on the left. Yeah. Now, is The Godfather, does that seem out of place to you right there?
Well, it's a good question, because a lot of people always like ask me. But what I try to say for theme is personality is a key, because that shows all of his interests. Now, there are people that focus on one specific topic, which is awesome, but then there's also the people that have like a color theme, like red through everything, every device, every LED, everything. So I think that it really depends on the setup, but for this guy Arthur, I think it's definitely his personality. He's into Assassin's Creed, he's into these movies, so I think he plays it out pretty well. Now what you were saying about the monitors really gets me thinking, because why is it that is that shelf built into the wall? That's what I want to know.
The one back behind the computer?
Yeah, I can't really tell. It's like very.
It looks like a built-in, yeah. Because it goes back behind. It's like a recessed area of the wall. So,
and that's why, like, if he was to push the monitors back, I understand why he wouldn't, because it'd be covering the shelf. But then he has his PC in front of it, so it's like he obviously doesn't care about the shelf, in terms of where the PC is. So I don't understand why he wouldn't just push it back, and like you said, even just shifting it over or anything like that. Like, he's got to be so cramped. His keyboard isn't even centered. It's very weird, and it looks like he has such a massive desk that it wouldn't be hard for him to really make it work. So I definitely knocked points off for that, and I definitely want to see him do something about it. And the last thing I'll say is really the cables at the bottom. They're not the end of the world. They're so easy to maintain, especially with the way you have it all laying like along the floor. You just got to get some Velcros, and it's okay if we see them, but if you have them nice, tight, and right around the edges of the room, it would look perfect. But
now, actually, here's another point of functionality, Matt, I want to introduce to the show here, because I don't know if this is something that you're aware of. So there's something in IT, it's known as the spaghetti monster, or it's something akin to that. It's not the flying spaghetti monster, but it's basically like when you're in IT and you're doing networking and stuff like that. This is mostly from Kane, by the way. it's not always best to bunch up cables when you tie them up, especially with networking cables, Cat45 cables, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can actually affect their throughput, and sometimes you can actually get interference and signals between those. So oftentimes with IT, if they're doing something, they don't bother tying anything up. They just like lay them all out there, and they're spread out and they're loose and everything. Now, I'm just contrary, which is why I'm bringing that up at all. But that is something to consider if you are doing cable management and if you are looking to make everything nice and clean. Do it, but don't necessarily be like, I need to like get everything like as tight as I possibly can up in there. So be gentle with your cables a little bit, especially when it comes to networking stuff like that, and especially if it comes to cables that aren't necessarily shielded. Sometimes putting data cables next to power cables can lead to some bleeding and stuff like that, and you can have weird issues going on with your internet connection and not be able to figure it out, and then it's just how the cables are connected. Again, that's a kind of an outside scenario for that to happen, but
well, I think another thing is a lot of people have problems if they're bunching up like audio cables or something. They get interference, they have it too close to like a power source or something, and they're getting like all the weird feedback, and they don't know why. So yeah, I mean, definitely, I'm not saying grab every single wire you have, make it to one big Velcro strap.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely beware. But for the most part, like simple cables, not the end of the world. But yeah, I think that's Jay actually, and oh, look at that, he's actually in the comments right now.
Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Jay.
Yeah, he was actually talking about how you need to it's a fake account. It's a lot of fake accounts today. Yeah, if you the Linus one was fake too.
I assume that, but
yeah. Well, I said.
Oh, you're right. That's not really Jay.
Yeah, I was bringing up Jay for an actual reason because he was the one talking about how all the time he had issues with audio, and then when he moved his cables away from the power sources, he didn't have any issues. So definitely something to keep in mind. But other than that, do you really have anything you want to say about Arthur's setup other than what you've said already?
Arthur, I think your situation might call for a pedestal for the desktop, to move it just off to the side to give yourself some more desktop space with triple monitors. It's really unwieldy to work triple monitor setups, especially if you have 3. So in this case, I'd say maybe just move that PC off to the side, give yourself a little bit more room. But I really like all the stuff going on, the trinkets and everything. It adds a lot of personality, and it makes it for a pretty cool gaming room.
Yeah, which that's, you always want to put personality into your setups. But yeah, so the next setup is submitted by Carson. Carson, now this is crazy. I want you to quickly take a look at Carson's setup and tell me how old you think he is.
Well, you would have had me with the 11-year-old earlier. I'd have been like, he's 25.
Yeah.
All right, so Carson, let's see. I have to assume that you can't afford that many Apple devices if you're too young. Is that?
I'm not giving you any. You have to just go for it. Just wild guess.
All right, so he's got some Astros on the desk, and he's got an Xbox 360.
This is 2014.
Wait, no, I'm deducing. This is I think it's a coaster he's got there, which looks like it has a Michigan logo on it. Maybe he's a college student. I'm gonna say 19.
He is 13.
13. Dang it! I thought I was really doing some deduction work there with the.
Yeah, you're really diving in deep like CSI or something.
I'm just looking for details. It's all in the details.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy now. This is 2014. Times have changed. Kids can get their hands on whatever they want, and I definitely wish when I was 13 I had a setup like this. But I'm not going to complain to my mom and dad. But yeah, so he basically goes to say that he got everything from birthdays and Christmas money, which is funny. They're young when they have to tell you how they got it so that we don't judge them. They're like, trust me, my mom didn't buy this for me. I got it for Christmas. Santa got it. And
that's good.
Yeah. And he basically just goes on to say, what he has, which you guys can view it on the website. But yeah, so he just wants to know what we think. And I think, yes. It's like very, very good. Now, there are some things about the cables that are like, ooh, just a little bit would fix it. But overall, I mean, wow. 13, and he's got that nice of cable management going on. Insane.
That's beautiful. I mean, the LEDs at the back too. I know you give a lot of extra points for that, right? That's a
Yeah, I love LEDs.
that's an excellent touch. So now here, as far as the scoring went, I did ding him 2 points on. I decided to do it on the usability side because I think from a usability standpoint, with that system on the floor, he's going to have to clean it very frequently.
Yep.
Either that or he's going to deal with increased temperatures on the system over time. So that was the one critique I had here. I tried to zoom in. I couldn't really tell whether it's set up on something or not. It's down there in the bottom corner, so it was really difficult to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say it's a nice system too. That's I think that's the Roswell
Thor.
Thor, yeah, I think that's a Thor. So I mean, I'm sure there's controversy about this, but maybe there's room on the desk, maybe up on the desk, but that's
Yeah, no,
I know.
I think in this setup it would look pretty nice on the desk.
Yeah,
He's got a
'cause
lot of room.
It's white, it's clean, it even goes with some of the Apple stuff that he's got up there.
Yeah.
The other thing, as far as a critique that I had, and this was on the score for the theme, because I feel like it's very Apple to me, clean, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. I don't hate on that type of layout or look. The monitors, really applaud the triple monitor setup. Some monitor stands, I think, would really make it all look a bit more put together.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I've stacked monitors on books and phone books and everything many times before, but just since you've got that really nice clean layout already, a couple nice metal monitor stands would make things come together a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
And then I also thought it was curious that he's got a Razer keyboard and an Astro headset that are very colorful when everything else is a little bit more flat and like the white and tan. But I mean, those are the headset I'm not a huge fan of. They're decent, but it's a very nice keyboard, I will say.
Well, my thoughts on it is like, yeah, definitely you don't want like your Xbox games holding up your monitors. It's usually not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
But you know,
those are Xbox games.
Yeah. If
I thought they were booked. Oh yeah, that's Call of Duty.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's a good use for a game like that. But overall, I mean, the monitor stands would help a lot. It would look really great. And not that you really have problems with your cables out of your monitors, but for those that are looking to get, you know, a way to have your monitor cables out of sight and out of mind, then you definitely want to get something like that, because a lot of them have cable management built into it and a way to, like, you know, maintain those wires. My other thing is definitely the headphones. It's weird, and it's just like, whoa, that's a bright color. But I would love to see him choose a color like green and kind of bring it throughout the setup and you know, make it the main color. Like his walls, he's got open room. Like I could see 2 really nice posters being hung up and really completing that. And I also feel like the last thing is the garbage can. Now, it's a garbage can. I'm not gonna like, you know, make this end of the world, but I do like to point out that there are yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything because people like to make fun of me when I make fun of, you know, garbage cans.
Garbage cans.
But hey, I mean, there are ways you can make it not look like that out in the open.
So, something with a pop-up lid or something.
Yeah.
Just yeah, you're right.
Because you don't want to see the inside of that, you know. So.
And I think Matt, you'd agree with me with this setup. This is a very clean setup, and this is one of the nicer ones I think we're looking at today. So I think we're being nitpicky here. Is that right? We're just saying like you're already really good. This is just how you could kind of elevate it like another notch or two.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Because what are we gonna say? Like, you know, I don't know, clean your floor with a vacuum or brush it up or something. But yeah,
I keep reminding myself of the picture of my setup earlier in this broadcast. Yeah.
And the last thing I'm gonna point out is I like he's got it's kind of off to the side, so I'm not 100% sure, but he's got like a clamp for probably a microphone or something.
Yeah.
Those things are the best. Really smart thinking there. Really like it. And overall, I think that's all I have to say. You have anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think it's a great setup, and I'm just pissed off that my deductions earlier didn't lead to me having a right. I was like, oh, this college student totally gave himself away with the Michigan logo. Okay, but no, excellent setup.
Here's going. The next setup, this one is submitted by Philip, and he also gave me his age. So let's play a quick game.
Okay.
From looking at the last one to looking at this one to also thinking about the first one, who was 11, how old do you think Philip is?
Okay, I'm going to use my process of deduction here again. And so there's two things here that make me think this is an older person. The one giveaway is the optical media that's on that shelf there on the lower right, or middle right, I guess, of the picture. Those are getting to be a little bit dated, almost like a CRT monitor. You look at those and like, oh, you still burn DVDs. I mean, people still do it, but it's just getting to be a little bit more old school, and I don't think it's something that somebody who's young and more fresh onto the tech scene might do. Again, I'm making assumptions. But the other thing is there's a radio there in the background that looks like it has a tape deck. Am I right? That's
yeah.
Yeah, that's a tape deck. So this is I'm going to say like 32. Just because you got to go back that far at least, I feel like, to get to a tape deck range.
Wait, so your final answer is 32?
Yeah, he's 8, isn't he? He's 8.
He's 15.
15?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, 15.
Oh, man. Nothing to say there. That's maybe I shouldn't be putting you under this pressure. It's maybe
No,
you're not ready
it's
for
okay.
it.
I'm at least learning that I should try to be a lot less analytical.
Yeah. You should just assume. Those are probably hand-me-downs. That's why.
That's probably true, yeah.
But, okay, so taking a look here, do you like that he's got his own little, like, dresser for his computer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable... I would approve of that because it's close enough to the setup that you can run all the cables over and everything. It's up off the floor. You get a nice view of it. It is a custom machine, it looks like, with a side window and some LEDs inside. So I feel like if you're going to go to that length of building that type of system, you're going to want to have it visible. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. The cables here are not all that great, but I think part of that is... Well, I mean, the cables on the floor obviously aren't that tidied up. You can't see a whole lot coming from the computer, but since the view of it is the back of it, I mean, you're going to see the I/O coming out there and everything. But I mean, functionally, I think it's a pretty good spot for it because definitely you can't fit it on the desk.
Yeah, and now here's a good one. Look closely at the top of the desk. Do you see it's sort of like pushing in on the middle? It's like starting to like warp.
You are correct.
I saw someone say that in the comments, and well, their comment was a lot funnier, but I'm not going to read that for other reasons. But
actually, it might not be warped. It might just be the front of the desk is a curve instead of flat. Yeah, and it might just be that perspective kind of playing because it does look like it's sagging, but I think that might actually just be more space that's coming out. But I guess you're kind of right there because like you look at it and it doesn't look like the monitor is like going into the desk or anything, but then you look at the front and it's got like that weird, I don't know. Overall, the desk, not really that big of a fan. It's definitely a lot. It's, almost as old as the cassette player, tape deck thing you got going on back there and the media and all that. But I would look to getting a whole new desk because it looks like you have a corner that you're not even utilizing. I think it would look really good if you had like maybe a corner desk or like made it an L desk or something to sort of make use of that open area you have. And that would definitely let you rearrange everything, maybe hide cables a little bit easier. But I think that for being 15, being realistic, because not everyone's going to have a setup like Carson, who was 13. I think that it's actually really good making use of what you have. So, I mean, I think there's not much to say other than tidy up some cables. Maybe just your next step should be a new desk. And I think that's really all I have to say, unless you have anything to wrap it up with. A new desk would be a good one. I initially thought with this, like, he's got a keyboard tray there that's not being used, but I think the reason for that is probably that with the full-size keyboard he's got and the mouse, you probably can't have those side by side on that actual tray. But yeah, I think you're right here. A new desk, or even at like, so what would you say if he couldn't afford a new desk, but he could afford like a piece of wood? What if he centered that desk that he has and just put another piece of wood on top of it to give him a much wider work area?
Oh yeah, anything to expand it.
Just something like that. Yeah. That'd be a ghetto solution, but it would, again, functionally give you a little bit more to work with, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes ghetto is what you need to do, for the time of being.
Oh, look, Marquez is here now, too.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. It looks just like him with the except the check mark next to it.
He lost a lot of subscribers too.
Yeah, wow. He what did he drop, a couple million? But anyways, final setup is submitted by Jamie, and here we go. Let's see. Did he say how old he is? Oh, no, he didn't. But I think I know how old he is. I know he's all right. So I'm not gonna make you guess because I don't know for sure. But he is a teenager, a very young teenager, and taking a look here, it's just great seeing how we had, you know, an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and now we have I forget his age. He'll probably tell us. He's in the chat right now. But it's just great to see how different every person's setup actually is. Yeah. And for this, it's very clean. So what are your thoughts on the wires here? Because there are two pictures. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, they're awesome. I mean, when you can get something this clean, like you can barely see it. There's a wire coming from the keyboard. There's a little bit of wiring you can see down there in the lower left. But the second picture that he sent shows the attention to detail with the wiring there. He's even gone so far as to take his audio. He put an audio extension, it looks like, on his, I think he's got a little soundboard there. Yeah. That he taped up under the desk coming straight out to the front. So he can take and just plug in, probably, actually I'm guessing that's for a mic, because he's got his headset over on the left. I like that. I do that pretty often. If I find an extension cord, I'll just wire something over to where I know I need to plug it in, and then just leave it there. So it's there, but it's still kind of tucked away. But yeah, it looks like he must either be a big fan of just music and everything, or maybe he even does some productions, because he's got what looks like an amp, I think, with some XLR pass-throughs. So I like this. The desktop monitor speakers on the, I'm sure, also are very nice, especially in a fairly small room that it looks like he's working with there.
Yeah, very small. I like his headphones, how he has them on the desk.
Yeah, nice little hook over there.
Yeah, and another thing is, here's me talking about trash cans again. I really like how he's got a nice covered up one. It may be like in sight, but it's covered up, and at first glance you wouldn't think it's a trash can. So that's what matters. But here's my issue with the setup. I don't know if you'd agree. I mean, first off, he probably doesn't have much authority over getting rid of like the old patterns and things like that on the wall, maybe painting that whole area. But my main issue is personality. It doesn't have any at all, other than, you know, the little guitar or ukulele, whatever it may be, thing sitting there on the desk with the speakers like that. I see when I look for theme, I'm like, oh, he's into music and audio. But then it's like, and I think that if he was to put some color, you know, kind of go with that. I like the yellow in the speakers. Keep it going through. Put some posters up. If you're not allowed to do anything to the walls, put some posters up. Put anything on the desk that gives it some color. And that's all I think.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. Just a couple, maybe a trinket here or there. Nothing too much, because obviously he's already got that really clean theme going on with the out of sight, out of mind. I think is like. Have you seen a better out of sight, out of mind picture than this one?
Once, and it was because all they had was like a laptop on the desk. That's it. Okay. But this is like a practical out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. I mean, you got your speakers, you got your audio, your soundboard there, keyboard, mouse, monitor. Like,
it's straight. That's all you need. So I was gonna say something, but I just totally forgot what I was gonna say.
That happens to me all the time. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, initially looking at this, because I was going over the accessories, and I was looking if people had those add-ons like a headset and like a mic and everything, and I thought he didn't have a mic. But then looking at that second shot with the cable coming out on the desk, and since he's already got the headset off to the left, I'm guessing that must be for a mic that he just puts away when he's done with it, which is awesome.
So. I made a little mistake. He's actually 20.
Oh, he's 20. Okay.
20. Yep. So my bad. He said he could do whatever he wants. Yeah. He said he could do whatever he wants to the room. So in that case, let me just be straight up here. Do something to the walls. Do something. Just give it some, slap whatever colored, some bright ass yellow on the wall. Do something. Make it unique. But yeah, now that I got caught with the wrong age, I feel kind of stupid here. So. definitely now I want to deduct points because you're not doing something to it. But no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, definitely do something to the setup to kind of personalize it. But at least it doesn't look like poles right now.
Yeah, you're not too far. The flower patterns I think need to go.
Yes.
You need either cover them or remove them, and then.
Is that like a cushion on the wall? Like what is that?
I'm trying to figure out what this room actually is because there's something up higher that's casting a little bit of shadow. Maybe this is like underneath a stairwell or something like that.
Like Harry Potter,
like a slightly larger, but I don't know. Clearly, this is a very narrow room with not a whole lot of space, which I imagine it's probably a nice little private cave to go in and play games or whatever. But yeah, just something to cover those flower prints. I think those don't fit at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I can imagine though, like you were saying, with like playing the speakers in that room, picturing how small it is.
Oh yeah,
it's probably insane. So
it's probably really nice actually. Yeah, for music playback and stuff.
Yeah, so that's awesome overall. Awesome setup, Jamie. And now to wrap up the show, we're gonna go over the portion where I say the scores for everyone. So let me open this up here. All right, so Ben, the first setup. He got a 45. By the way, all these scores are out of 100. So he got a 45. Andrew got a 46. Arthur got a 44. I promise we didn't do that on purpose. We didn't make it like all in the same area.
It's very close.
Yeah, and now here we go. Carson got a 71.
Dang.
Philip got a 37. And Jamie got a 63. So overall, that means the people going for a chance to be in the Pimp My Setup Hall of Fame is Carson, who's in first place, and Jamie, who's in second place.
Very nice.
Yeah, now that we have 10 episodes done, I will be announcing how the whole Pimp My Setup Hall of Fame thing will work, because every episode, 2 winners get chosen, and now we're going to have, if I do math if I could do math, it would be 20 setups in the running for a spot in the Hall of Fame. So more information to come on that. But Paul, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I really enjoy the show that you have set up. It's very unique, and I think it helps people to really kind of bring the form and the function of their workstation together.
Yeah, it's a fun little way to disappear into setups and just talk about things that a lot of people don't think about on a daily basis. But overall, it was an awesome show. Thank you everybody for coming out. Really appreciate it. All the fake accounts and everything, really just wonderful. And yeah, so that does it. So guys, thanks so much for watching episode 10 of Pimp My Setup, recorded live on December 18th, 2014. My name's Matt Philie. Check me out on Twitter @MattPhilly.
And I'm Paul. You can check me out on Twitter @PaulHardware or on my YouTube channel, Paul's Hardware.
There you go. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the Flippity Flop. Peace.
Thanks for watching this episode of Pimp My Setup. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Follow at Pimp My Setup on Twitter for the latest info about the show. And check out swashin.tv/schedule to know when we'll be live again. Stay up to date with Matt Philie by following him on Twitter @MattPhillie. And until next time, we'll catch you on the Flippity Flop.